If you got big dreams and bad genes, you are in the right place. Bromley shirts are available at barbellapparel.com. Link is in the description.
Sure, my shot. In my face. Everybody's on shot. You should have seen the first 10 minutes here. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited. You're in the Texas boys' house now.
All right, the one thing I guess we won't bring up is that you're a California transplant, so I just won't say anything.
You can bring it up. I got nothing to hide.
Just taking our land, same thing as the Cerberus guy taking their belts, whatever. No big deal.
Whoa.
I'm gonna need to get filled in on these jokes because I feel like there's some backstory here. So what's that about? What's that about Cerberus?
No, I'm SBD, he's Cerberus.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. So it's like bad blood, like right off the bat.
Yeah, he doesn't support USA-made products. So.
I don't support
what's SBD?
Getting them for free.
England.
It's British.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he'd rather be hanging out with those tea drinkers.
Stuff.
So you're representing Mexico. You're using using
British
British made
You're basically
stuff.
like the most un-American man I know.
Whoa! What are you talking about? That's the most American thing in the world.
You're
I'm using other people's oil.
You're representing Mexico.
You want freedom
with English products.
All right.
Whereas I'm representing the United States of America.
Oh, yeah. Well, you tried the Italy thing, but we won't go there,
brother.
They just won't let you in Italia. That's why.
Are you like Camby? You got some like roots where they tried to really?
Yeah.
Did they try to bring that to you?
Yeah,
like, hey, will you represent this other country? Because Americans just dominate everything.
Yeah. And it would open up another spot for another American, like say Tim Buck or whatever, who plays third at OSG.
Really?
If I took that Italy spot, it would open up another spot for an American. So I was like, okay, like I'm open to it. But because I represented America at OSG, they wanted me to represent America.
Okay.
But I could have. Like my family came over in the 70s from Italy.
They did?
Yeah. So my dad was born in Rome, raised in Italy, came over in the 70s, and him and my grandfather started a business in Houston. And but like I can trace my family all the way back through Italy for like 7 generations.
No shit. What kind of business did they start?
So there's a whole piazza in Sicily named Piazza Guardione Francesco, which is my great-grandfather who was a lawyer, and he had a big law firm in downtown. I forget the name of the city, but it's in northern Sicily.
Sicily's the island?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And now all my family still lives over by Florence.
And then how far back are we tracing your heritage?
I don't know. Border crossed us, though.
I was gonna say Austin's dodging ice right now. He's trying not to get
the border
caught
crossed us.
Sir, can I see some
that's why
papers?
it's the closed room. Yeah.
No, so the Andrade name comes from the northern part of Spain, and it's Spanish and Portugal descent. And then when they come in, settled Texas, they came in through the Gulf and settled Texas.
Gulf of what?
America now.
Settled. Okay, you mean first of all, you mean colonized? Let's use
colonized. Yeah. Well, they brought religion to the
decency,
natives.
morality.
You know how the Spanish do, and yeah, you know how you make a Mexican, you get a native and a Spanish, and
ta-da!
We're here.
Voila.
Ta-da! 970-pound deadlift. Boom.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
Boom.
So that's actually kind of an interesting thing. I'm just going to skip the intro because we're just rolling hot right now.
Let's go.
This is Nick Guardione and Austin Andrade, the Texas boys.
What up?
Yeah.
And before you guys do anything, make sure you follow their YouTube channel, the Texas Boys, because there's not a lot of good strongman content. You get the top guys, and it's like like all you can eat challenges or diet swaps or like Eddie doing shit in Speedos. It's nice.
Oh, hey, wait, we might be doing that.
I've been here for a minute, honestly. I'm not going to lie. I can see that trajectory in your future.
When we get desperate, we're popping the Speedos on.
But it's nice to see if the Speedos come out. It's going to be in a gym setting at least. It's not going to be like on a tank with like Mr. Beast. So that's kind of cool. But there's a lot of shenanigans. It's a good watch. Like, go ahead and give it a follow.
Yeah, it's not super informative most of the time. It's like 50-50 comedy, heavy training.
It's informative if you know what you're doing. If you know what you're looking
but like
for.
we're not a channel like Alex is, where we like are sitting like talking heads and like explaining things in great detail. We're just goofing around in the gym, showing you what we're doing, having fun, lifting some heavy weights, and trying to get as best as we can.
They're actually doing things is what stuff. He's trying to say, not sitting around beard scratching. Like, well, actually, but since we're starting off on a non-controversial topic like race and lifting, this is something that I thought was kind of interesting, especially, I mean, well, let's go there. I am from Southern California, which is predominantly Hispanic. Actually, the biggest demographic there is Hispanic women because there's more women than men and more Hispanics than anything. So I married one. And
hell yeah, baby.
One of the,
that's what I'm talking about.
Bro, I got that card. Theo's half Mexican, so, you know, it's like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Opened up a whole world of slurs.
La raza.
Hell
yeah, baby.
But, okay, something I thought was interesting, though, because.
And I got a white woman. I married
is that
a white
right?
woman. Yeah.
See, man, we're all
ginger
about.
too.
Yep.
We're all about. Oh, a ginger.
Yep.
So you're trying to have like a little Canelo baby.
It's diversifying the.
That's a big word. That wasn't come out.
That's a lot of syllables, buddy.
We're all about breaking down borders, not literally, just figuratively breaking down borders. Yeah.
Socioeconomic borders. Yeah.
Something I thought was funny though, for as long as I've been at Strongman, it is diverse, but it's also like a really, really, really white sport. And one of the things I thought was interesting is there isn't a lot of like Latino or Hispanic representation in the sport. And you come out, I mean, you literally won World's Strongest Latino.
Yeah.
And not a DEI hire at all. I mean, you won World's Strongest Latino. You are the World's Strongest Latino, and then you end up going straight on this path.
It's crazy how it happened because Strongman Champions League came out with the show, 23, and they're promoting it, and I saw Gabe Pena was going to do it, and so I reached out to Pena. I was like, hey, like, are you just how'd you get into it? And then so he's just messaged the guy. So I messaged the guy, and I'm like, hey man, I look at all my lifts, whatever. I'm Latino. Can I be invited? He's like, yeah, but you can't represent the United States. I said, well, that's fine. I can represent Mexico. So that's how I got in through there, and I represented Mexico going to. They're like, it's a one-off show. It's not a part of their like world tour or whatever. And then so they had all of Latin America and Latin Europe there, which Italy is a Latin country. I've come to find out.
Really?
So well,
that's the original Latins.
OG. We're the OG.
I mean, Latins. I guess that makes sense. That makes sense.
So technically, I could have been a part of it, but.
Well, anyway, yeah. So yeah, I ended up winning it, and then the month later, I won the Shaw, and I think that was like, okay, he's legit. Like, he actually can lift weights. Well, I'm not saying because it was a light show, but like the Shaw Classic was.
The Shaw Classic is one of those amateur majors
that's like heavy show.
You need to win one of those to establish yourself, for sure.
And then that's when I got a 2-week call up to go to that
Giants Live.
Because you both had. It never feels like it's fast, but from the outside, you guys had a pretty fast run up. I mean, you got your first World's Strongest Man last year. Congrats. I saw you're invited this year. That's fucking exciting. And one of the reasons I wanted to interview you two, I mean, it's kind of a unique story because you guys did train together and come up together. Yeah. And now it's like 1/5 of the Arnold Classic Strongman is right here, probably a quarter if we're going by weight. And and to be able to make those steps together, I mean, that's like a really interesting thing. You don't see it a lot. I mean, either it's like one guy over here is talented or one guy over here, had some, onboarding into the sport that set him up to the top. But for you guys to do it together is really interesting. Yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit about that. Like, as far as your training relationship, I mean, the competitive aspect, the role you guys had kind of, I guess, training together. I'm assuming it was a net benefit. You're not going to be like, fucking Nick's holding me back or whatever.
No, not at all.
Well, first of all, this is like 6 years in the making.
Yeah, we've been training together for a while.
For a long time. For 2019 at least, right?
Yeah.
That's when you first walked in.
Right at the end of 2019, yeah.
I started coming here heavy metal 2018. Oh, yeah, and then in the 2019. So I had a year kind of by myself. I did have a training partner at the time, but he just got a wife and did real life stuff instead of what we're doing here. And then he came in green-eyed, fucking just whatever, right? And trying every piece of equipment we had in one day.
I was here for 6 hours.
Like a kid in a can. I always say kid in
Literally, I did Husafel, then log press, then circus dumbbell, then I tried every single thing just because I had seen it on YouTube and I was like already so like enamored with the sport. And then I walk into heavy metal because the college gym that I was going to was closed. First person I meet was Austin, and we immediately started like hanging out, became training partners, became friends.
Yeah, we're friends right away. He I was laying down, he said, "Look, you're a beach whale," or something like that. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna work out great."
Yeah.
And so, and we just started working. Then, since I had like a year of coming up like through USS and Strongman Corp, I kind of knew like what was the correct way of going to be one of the better people or better competitors. So
he just knew the path. He had already gone and tried some different shows and things, and he had known, like he had kind of figured out on his own like the path to where we were trying to go.
And so that's what we kind of had put Nick on a like, just trust us, we got you kind of thing. Yeah. And he's been all ears from the start. Just
so with training together, because I mean Tim
yes.
runs your programming, right?
Tim Ingram over Heavy Metal Fitness.
Yeah, and which if you're ever in San Antonio, my God, it's a great place here.
It's
like I love training here, the amount of equipment, I mean the competitive environment, and then Tim, like you could tell he's just a guy that loves to train and just does everything all the time out of pure passion. So watching him program for you guys, one of the things that's interesting is I assume you guys are different, right? And I mean, if I were to describe you in vague strongman terms, I mean, Austin is like an Eddie Hall prototype. I would say you're Eddie Hall before he fat fucked himself for the 500 kilo. Like
all right, that's good. I like that. All right, I can take that.
And
I've been called Eddie Hall mid fat too before, so I'll take the lighter one.
Eddie Hall when he still looked good in it with a belt on, you know, or say he still had a chin when he lined up his beard, you know. And then I don't know, I feel like with a bald cap, you could probably pass for like Kilskowski or something. Like you got that kind of taller. How tall are you? You guys aren't that different, right?
6'4", 6'5"-ish.
6'5"? What, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah.
Okay, about.
Depending what day we squat.
Are you both pushing 400 pounds?
I'm like 340 right now.
I've actually gotten under 400. It's the first time I've been under 400 for a while.
Oh, congrats, man.
Yeah.
You don't win contests that way, bro. What are you trying to go Bobby Thompson? Get all jacked?
No, we're just trying to be healthy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you don't win contests like that either.
I mean,
we're actually we're getting I'm getting leaner, he's getting leaner, and we're getting stronger. And
I forgot you guys are both going through Nathan Payton. Right?
Yeah, okay. And he's a genius. It's all about timing and carb cycling, and he's a mad scientist.
And I do want to talk about nutrition.
Okay.
But I want to finish this this programming thread or this training thread because I would imagine there would be a lot of personalization required, a lot of like very specific surgical decisions based on like, you know, hey, Austin's over here pulling a grand. Nick still has a freaky deadlift, but you're not quite in the 1,000-pound club yet, right? Yeah. Whereas I would imagine medleys and carries and more mobile stuff, probably a little bit more in your wheelhouse. How much would you say that is present in the training, or how much is it you guys just have a plan and it's your job to push each other and make sure it gets done?
It's honestly not that much. Like it's not as much as you think it is. Like we're two very different types of athletes. You know, like he's very static, I'm very dynamic, but the training is usually pretty similar. And I think the reason why we can create two World's Strongest Man level athletes from the same gym with the same coach with the same programming is just because of the way that our coach Tim, like his mindset and his philosophy of training, it's not about the weights that you're lifting on the day, it's how you're lifting the weights and why you're lifting the weights. So like, you know, for example, if we're doing like calf or quad extensions or something, it's not about how heavy necessarily we're going, it's about getting that mind muscle connection, it's about time under tension, it's about, you know, the rate of perceived exertion. So like, you know,
the program's so fluid in a sense that it's always hitting everything, always. So you're not really having to like, okay, we got this block and we got this block. Kind of, we've really gotten away from like, quote unquote, periodization block training, because it's like, all right, we're off season, let's just get strong as heck. So we're going to touch everything. Now we're in program, okay, let's get good at these events. And then when we get closer to the show, all right, let's push these events and see where we're at for the show.
But it's based off of like how we're feeling on the day. Like obviously Austin's RPE 8 is going to be a vastly different number than my RPE 8. But as long as we're doing the work and we're being technically sound and we're actually at that exertion level, we're both going to be growing at a relatively similar rate. And I think that's kind of what he gives us. He gives us a canvas, and it took a long time for him to trust that our RPE numbers are going to be accurate. For a long time, I would always jump on RPE like 1 or 2 just to try and be in the same ballpark as Austin's numbers.
You just want, you want to read,
but that would never benefit me. It would always just end up me getting hurt or me getting so beat up that I couldn't chase him anymore.
So once you figured out how to
stay in my range,
match RPEs, like Tim was like, it doesn't matter. Like we don't make. Really, I remember the day it was a deadlift because Nick gets a lot of talking tos every now and then. I get a couple every now and then too, but Nick gets sat down and put down a little. Well, anyways, but it was. Tim was like, just make the weight move like it does for Austin. Yeah. That's what you want to match. You don't want to match numbers. Make it move the same way.
Yeah, because we were doing like some elevated deadlifts, and Austin was perfect, nice and smooth, nice and crisp, and I'm over here slow, and having to like kind of ramp it at the end, and even though I was maybe 20, 30 pounds less, the RPE was 2 or 3 times, and it was not the right time in the progression to be doing that, and so he was like, bro, like. You can keep doing sets like this, but I'm just not going to coach you anymore. Like it's. I know.
So Tim's actually going to sit down and be like, I can't deal with this. You're off the team. Like,
yeah. Well, it was like that for a long time. Like I didn't know how to slow down. Like I was one of those guys that would come in and go as hard and heavy as I could because that's what I thought that being strong was, and I didn't realize until a few years ago when, coincidentally, my career started really taking off that you need to stay within the programmed RPE ranges at the correct times of the prep.
I mean,
there's a progression and there's science behind the overload.
Once you trust the program, it's crazy. Like Nick's just one of the dudes that can peak like crazy for a show too. So he will miss. Or no, he won't miss.
No, I'll suck. I'll be weak.
Like the numbers won't be anything close to what it should be competition day, and then he'll go out and smoke the competition.
Yeah, I'll hit 100-pound LPRs in the show, but I'll be like grinding out 100 pounds less in the gym.
Why do you think that is? Do you think there's more of a psychological component that you're a gamer, or do you think the recovery that you end up staying so fatigued throughout the taper that it's when you're peaked that your strength kind of surges back up?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. I think like. I live a very privileged life. I have a really, really good life. I've got a beautiful wife with her family, and like a really nice setup to where I can sleep as much as I need to. I can eat exactly when I need to, exactly what I need to be eating. The people around me literally let me do exactly what I need to do when I need to do it to get the job done. So if I'm like, hey, babe, I need to just be alone today to get my mindset right before the show. She's like, no problem, whatever you need. I'll bring you your food at 2 and 4 and 6, whatever. Just let me know what you need. And I'll be like, okay, cool. And I'll go and I'll, sit in the shower for an hour and just listen to, some meditation stuff or whatever, whatever it takes for, it's different for every show. But like, I'm allowed that in my life to where whatever I think is best for this career path, the people around me will completely support me in that, and I think it takes a lot of the stress off, and I think there's a mental aspect to it too. Like I feel like I have a lot of really unique mental tools that I use that a lot of people don't really consider. Like there's a lot of like yogic breathing and like visualization and stuff that we can talk about later if you want, that I don't think a lot of other people use. Like there are some people that do use them, but I feel like that mental strength and that coming in, just like coming into a show. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Okay, so it's all about ego. There's like a when you're training, I try to keep my ego as low as possible because nobody gives a shit what you do in the gym. I don't give a shit what I do in the gym. As long as I'm getting work done and I'm progressing, I'm okay. So nobody cares. So keep your ego super low while you're progressing and working up into the show. But there's a point like 7 days out from a competition where you can turn that ego on. And it's developing that ego. It's bringing out your confidence, your self-belief, your willpower. Like you really try and materialize that sort of mindset where you can do anything, be anything, achieve whatever you want. And it's like a 7-day kind of process where you're not training. You want that like as your body is peaking, your mental is peaking, your ego's peaking.
That makes sense. You're like letting the dog off the chain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you've had to keep a lid on it, and now it's ready to go. And then, of course, with a good peak, you're going to have that confidence to go and kill everything. Well, where did you kind of develop that? Is that rooted in something else, or just kind of something you picked up over time?
Yeah, it kind of came from a little bit of a dark place. In 2015, my dad passed away pretty suddenly, and like I didn't have any tools. I was a pretty spoiled kid, but I didn't have any tools to deal with it, and my only outlet was lifting. And I wasn't lifting in here. Like I was just going to the gym every single day and maxing out my squat, maxing out my deadlift, maxing out my bench. And I wasn't making any progress, but I didn't care because it felt good. And I got deep into like meditation and just trying to become someone who, if I ever met my dad again, he would be proud of to call his son, right? So I was like, I don't want to be that spoiled kid that he left, and even though I know he was proud of me and I know that he was, excited to see where I was going, like I wanted to become someone that I could like really be proud of showing him whenever, if I ever got the chance to meet him again, right? And so I kind of dove deep into this kind of self-improvement, mental self-improvement, warrior mentality, meditation, lifting, and it kind of spread into every aspect of my life with the diet, the sleep, the nutrition, the supplements, whatever. And it just became this entire self-encompassing thing that just kind of grew in momentum until here we are.
That's the really kind of powerful motivating factor. One of my favorite quotes, I think it's a Jordan Peterson quote, is you should strive to be the man that your family can lean on at your father's funeral. Yeah. Like the guy that can give the speech and
I wasn't. I wasn't. I was just this little snot-nosed kid. Like my dad gave me everything and I had nothing. He passed and I had no money, no house, no car, no nothing, no school. Like I was in college, he was paying for my college, I had nothing. And I was like, okay, I'm either going to be a homeless fucking loser and be on the streets and have no family, no job, nothing, or I'm going to get my fucking shit together and become someone who I can be proud of and someone who he can be proud of.
Well, here you are now at Heavy Metal, World's Strongest Man 2025.
What's crazy about that too, like, and talk about like relationships and being a training partner, is I've really fed off of that too. Like I've learned, like I've used those tools growing up in football and wrestling and stuff like that, but I didn't really understand that until he kind of like explained it to me. And like even when we're lifting or we're getting ready for, he's always like walking by, we're getting for a big lift, he's like, visualize the crowd, see the crowd, see the crowd, see the bar. And I'm like, you're putting yourself there because it's his checklist that he goes through to get ready for. And then like too, like I have a really good, I can turn my central nervous system on. I can go 0 to 100 real quick. Like I can be real calm, chill, let's have fun. And then next thing you know, if someone gets me to it, I can flip them over a desk and get pissed off real quick. And so like we've really fed off of each other in terms of our training to like not only just weightlifting, but the mental aspect of it and becoming a better lifter and knowing like when to turn it on. Some of my best, always my top sets are always faster than my warm-up sets because I haven't really turned it on yet. And I wait to turn it on because I don't want to
waste that energy.
Yeah, I don't want to waste it because it will. It's almost like a dopamine drip. You don't want to use it too much. Yeah. Because then it'll just dissipate.
Yeah. As Brian Shaw says, it's like a jug of water. You just keep taking little sips out. But if you dump too much,
and then too, like we've gone to big stages and like it's nothing for us really. I love it. I've gone to a crowd and I've learned to take the energy from a crowd instead of being nervous from it. I itch for it. I can't wait to be in front of people.
The adrenaline dump a lot of people get from that, I think, really can fuck their lifts and their performance because they get so, it's like from the night before they can't sleep, that morning they're up, they get there 2 hours early and start touching the implements, and then they're amped for their first event, and then they're just up the entire time. And being able to like regulate yourself, and I'm big about this, like once you hit your event, it's like you go back and you like calm down.
All the way down.
I'll alternate my playlist between like, I don't know, some metal or no, seriously, I'll go to like Dave Matthews or something to like bring myself down. It's like, oh, there we go. So then you can bring it back up. But a lot of people, I don't think, foster that skill to be able to hit when they need to.
It's a lot.
It is a skill, and it's something you have to maintain.
I mean, how many times you've been after a show you just completely drained, but you really haven't hit big weights? It's because of the adrenaline spikes that you hit. That's what fatigues people. And if you're always up, you're gonna, for a show that shouldn't really take so much out of you, it's gonna take a lot out of you.
So what about in training? Because you said you were the guy that would just go too hard all the time. And I remember I talked to a buddy of mine, Sam Sheether, and he coaches a lot of people, very accomplished lifter, and he had a really good point that I loved, which is like, all things considered, like it's better to have somebody that goes too fucking hard because you can't teach somebody to take it there. But you can take somebody who's talented, who's driven, and who's aggressive and say, okay, we're going to bring it down.
Rein the dog in. Exactly. You can't give someone the dog, but you can rein it in.
Well, that's a big, because even when it comes to my personal relationships outside the gym, like I can't be around people that don't have hustle. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. Like when I met Nick, I knew his relationship was going to work or friendship was going to work, is because it's like, I mean, we have the same drive. We have the same
Even though I walked in the gym at like 230 pounds.
But even back then, I mean, that's the thing. Back then, he still had dog in him. It's like, all right, we can work with this. We can.
Ever find yourself confused by the complexity of programming? I know I struggled like crazy in my early strongman career. There was just too much advice, and every decision I made felt like a guess. As soon as I hit a snag in any program, I would have no idea what to do, so I would inevitably bail. It took me years of training and coaching to figure out how to predictably increase muscle and strength, both in myself and others. And those lessons took me to my own showings in World's Strongest Man, America's Strongest Man, and the Arnold in the 231-pound weight class. This is why we made Base Strength AI, to give clear, direct, and personalized instruction right in the middle of your workout in real time. Base Strength AI features 3 programs: Block, 70s Powerlifter, and Bullmastiff, each one inspired by the work ethic and programming of the biggest and strongest bodybuilders, powerlifters, and strongmen throughout history. These templates originated in my book Base Strength, and they can be ran as is, but with Base Strength AI, weight and volume are prescribed to you on your specific feedback, and that's personalization that even an online coach can't replicate. This gives you the absolute certainty that every rep is meaningful, that every block of training is getting you closer to your goals. It's my programming, but it's your program. Get the heart of old school training with the intelligence of a coach right in your back pocket. Head now to basestrength.com.
Well, I want to say, I bet you guys, it was either 2020, 2021, is before we moved out here. It was at the Strongman contest at the
Pillars of Strength.
The ski lodge, right? The water ski resort.
The AC that broke.
They broke. Yeah.
So I remember showing up because I didn't know what San Antonio was like, right? And I'm like, I come from where it's like 70 and temperate year round with like no humidity. I'm like, I can't let these guys think I'm a bitch, right? So it's gonna be hot. It's like in the middle. It was like either July or August. I think it was July. Hot as fuck. And I walk in and it's this. What they had like an expo going on. There were a few hundred people in that building, right? Yeah. This like concrete building. And immediately everybody's just soaked. I remember like just being wet top to bottom. It had to be like 110 in there the whole time, all day. And I'm like, I guess this is Texas. And I was just trying not to pass out. And you big boys are over here like running through it. I'm like, I gotta.
We were dying too, but we can't imagine how bad it was for you coming in from California.
Then I find out, right, that there was like they'd never turned the AC on or something. Everybody was like, no, that's not like.
Well, they were telling us that it was broken, so that's why they had all the doors open. But it wasn't. It was perfectly fine.
Busted in, and they were like, no, they just left it off. Yeah, I feel like there's a lawsuit there somewhere. That was rough, and that was a cool show. I mean, I remember Pena was there. There was a lot of talent.
Trey was judging.
That's right.
I think somebody broke like a keg toss.
Was it Richie?
Rich Mozagemba broke a keg toss world record.
Heavy metal guy.
Yeah, he's a heavy metal athlete now.
There was another Highland Games guy out there. That was like
Spencer Tyler.
Okay,
Spencer Tyler.
Yeah, but that was
he's the one that taught us how to throw in the beginning too.
Yeah, we lucked out in that he lives in Seguin, which is not too far from here.
Okay.
And we had a world class Highland Games thrower come and teach us how to throw bags.
Yeah,
we were god awful dog shit.
Awful. But every time I do something cool with bags, because it's one of my better events now. And every time I do something cool with bags, I'm like, I tag him. I'm like, dude, look what you started.
Yeah, for real. No, he
started.
It was. I mean, we struggled from throwing maybe a 45-pound bag over 15 feet to he's smoking the OSG record at the.
I remember seeing one tutorial from a Highland Games guy, and they were emphasizing like coming back and then like getting upright before you extend through.
Yep.
Like how much technique breakdown did he do with you guys? Was it more psychological or just physically? You're in a shitty position?
He broke it. We were doing kettlebell swing. He totally broke it down.
He taught us like these little drills of like having a water bottle standing on the ground, and you do
come in
high with the bag, and then as you dip to do this swing, you knock the bottle over. And
what's cool about him is that he threw in college, and so he's been around sports. And what I appreciated from him is he kind of had a coaching background, so he would watch us go, and he would just give us little cues every now and then. And he was a coach about some people like overcoach when they have no idea what they're doing. Yeah. And so like he's been around sports, so he was really good with us. And then it was crazy, like we weren't anywhere close to hitting this, and he was like, y'all get it by the end of the day. And sure enough, we both got it. Yeah, it was crazy.
50 like squeaked over 15 pounds or 15 foot.
And we were like, it was the craziest thing in the world.
Now like you won the back toss at OSG, right? Yeah. And I assume, I mean, just the horsepower, I mean, you got to be.
He's getting better. He's definitely getting better.
Around.
He's definitely getting better.
I stick around. I went from being
you were mid pack on the max keg toss at Schmo.
Yeah, and then Same at Worlds too.
So,
both times I PR'd at the
So he's mid-package.
Yeah. Do you find it a lot of these shows? I'm sure it varies by the implement, like how far away you are and all this stuff. But do you find you end up getting focused more on just trying to get more weight to clear, or are you at the point where it's just a matter of peeling seconds off your run and being perfect?
We don't ever put weight on when we train throws.
Yeah,
we throw very light all the time, and then because it can smoke you real quick.
Yeah, like it's a deceptively fatiguing event.
And so all we're really doing is worrying about how fast we're doing the actual motion. If that's quick, then we'll be quick no matter what the weight is.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that, because I am a god-awful thrower. And it's funny, after all these years, all the things like I preach to people, I find myself like, oh, it's a 50 over, that's the last bag. I'm like, I got to do 100 throws with that. And it's like, it just ends up getting slow, and then my delts are smoked, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
and
but it's a leg thing. It's a leg extent. It's like you want to get good at back throws, train box jumps. Get really good at box
Learn
jumps.
how to jump.
Yeah, learn how to jump. If you're athletic, you're going to be really good at back throws.
Yeah.
And like basically what we did for OSG was we had, I think it was a 60, a 55, a 50, a 45, 45, 40. It was 6 bags. I think that was the run. I did the 60 bag. I think we did this like 2 or 3 times. I did the 60 bag for like sets of 4 or 5, and I'll just go back forth as fast as I could.
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't even when like when I was training for Worlds for those max throws. I wasn't even getting close to comp weight throws.
Yeah.
It was just about staying in position and make sure that the thing's moving fast. But yeah, it's not.
And most of the time, you weren't even throwing over a bar. You were literally
No.
just hooking as
That's
high
the
as
thing
you
we
could.
learned from Spencer is if you're learning how to throw, don't throw to a bar.
Really?
Yeah, throw. Just you need to worry about getting
Just
it up.
develop the power.
Get it
Develop
up.
the power,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then it's real easy to put something there because if you're first starting it, you're gonna start aiming at that.
That's true.
You don't want to aim. You just want to be powerful. Like you said, you just want to be powerful, and then you can bring that in a week before the show, and now you can start aiming towards it. Like getting over the bar is the easy part. Getting it up is the hard part. So.
Sure, that's the easy part. That's the easy part. No, the 5'10" soaking wet, little midget arms. But
Lifters.
oh, bro, no. And they had the power stairs. I got the work boots, and my wife made me like these 2-inch like foam inserts. Oh man, I felt so good. And she's like, "Oh, you look tall. You look so good." And I'm like, "You're 5'1". All right, you're lucky. You're lucky with what you've got. Okay, but no, absolutely.
She's
like
a hair away from being a midget.
It's all Latinos, dude.
So the power and the skill comes from very light stuff, but also, I mean, you guys just got an immense amount of horsepower behind it because you deadlift 1 million pounds. And going back to Pillars of Strength, it's just a few short years ago, back when I thought it'd be a good idea. Just hey, we're going to Texas. Let me just go into a heavyweight show.
Let's hop in one.
So I remember meeting both of you, and it's like you guys were both smaller then, but you weren't. Like you both have filled out so much, like neck, shoulders, back. Like obvious, there's a different type of athlete you see. Once they're at the Arnold, once they're at Worlds, and you guys kind of have like the tendons on tendons on tendons, and the thickness and everything else. So obviously, like you've grown so much. But like I remember every time somebody kicks my ass decidedly in anything because I use it for fuel and deep rooted hatred, whatever. But I want to say it was like I don't know. It was like a 13-inch axle deadlift, I think, for max.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I know you cracked 800.
Yeah.
I don't know if you 850.
820, I think was.
Okay, 820. And I want to say you and I tied it like a 755.
Yeah, but it was like the RP 15 755 for me, where I was like,
I remember watching it, I'm like, don't get it. Don't get it.
you mother. But that was like that's probably one of the sickest lifts I've ever done. Like it was just so slow. And just like
That's what I'm talking about. This dude can just show up.
Well, that's what Tim said. I was talking to Tim.
That was like a
and he's
100-pound PR or something
He's
like
like,
that.
he's like, man, it's just he has a switch. He gets in gamer mode, and I knew he was going to be successful. But I'm just laying those numbers out because now where we're at. I mean, you've pulled over 1,000 at. Was it a Giants Live or was
I pulled 1,000 at Giants Live, and then I decided to take a nap with 10:35.
10:35.
Well, I didn't take a nap. I was awake the whole time. I just fell backwards.
Yeah, you lost your balance.
Yeah.
that was a moment.
Okay, you're keeping that weight back. I like it. Get those bloody shins. 10:35. How close to lockout was that?
I was locked out. I just when you squeeze your ass and
Yeah.
you're really locking out, your feet slip or your feet. I want to pronate. Is that the word? They go like this.
Oh shit! I'm supposed to know this. I don't know.
All right, when you make diamonds with your butt and you're squeezing it.
Yeah.
When I was in socks. The whole training session I trained in socks. It was a freshly new painted platform, and I wasn't gonna change anything for the show. And then someone like mentioned to me right before, and I was like, damn. And Nick was about to take his barefoots off for me to go lift, but I was like, nah, I ain't gonna change anything up. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. And then sure enough, I had that heavy weight in my hand. I was locked. It was like locked out, and then I fell. But I was squeezing, and I slipped this way, and then I just went backwards. That's all it took. You have weight in your hand like that.
Oh, I can imagine. It's like you're so used to lifting on mats or whatever. It's like the platform can really fuck you up.
And we had literally just watched Marcus Crowder like try and walk back with 1,000 and like save it and pop his quads off. So we were like, through his head, I'm sure he was like, I'm just falling with it.
Did he do that at the show?
No, he did.
No, he did it in
training. I heard about that.
But we had
ugly,
we had like he was
no, he
same.
did.
It was like
but
same
he didn't. All right, so he didn't post that until after the show. But like
I had seen it.
I knew he walked backwards when he would lock out, and so that's what we were assuming that happened. He was like walking backwards. So
that was in our head, like going to that show.
And so when I was up here, I was like, I'm not like this is it. I just gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm just falling. That's whatever.
That's crazy. And it's like you think of certain lifts as like being low tech, like, oh, a deadlift's a deadlift. But especially when you're up there, and I don't know if this is a factor, but anytime there's like high ceilings, lights, you got this open space, it can be like super disorienting with like simple shit you've done a million times. But it's like then to have the floor give, and it's like you need so much tension just to be able to support that shit. So you're like convincingly over 1,000. You got like 4 reps with, what was it? 815?
820.
820.
It was in a suit on an axle.
Okay. Well, Strongman
not bad.
We don't care. It's
and I hit 900 twice on a Hummer tire deadlift.
Okay. Sorry.
Shut up.
Oh, Austin laughs. He's like, that's cute.
He's about to say 950 or something.
All right. Well, I'll say it. How many times have you
failed 950? Yeah, twice. Fuck off, bitch.
No, it's funny because at Arnold's he failed the 950.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then at Shaw Classic he failed the 950. So he'll smoke 900. We put 50 pounds on it, and it's stable.
Okay. At the Arnold, it was a strength thing. At the Shaw, it was a hype thing.
Oh yeah, he got overhyped.
Too nasty at the Shaw.
You got too hyped on a deadlift,
and then he resorted back to like 2019 Nick, like just
I literally candy caned immediately. When I feel like honestly, like I feel like I could have gotten it if I was in correct position.
Oh yeah,
but we were like literally like.
I was like almost socking him in the face back there, like trying to get it hyped up.
Like we were
because it was like if he gets this lift, he's winning kind of thing.
Yeah,
so he needed to.
Well, I can imagine when you're hyped on a tire deadlift, the bar's higher, it's whippy as all hell. I imagine it's tempting to just get angry and yank into it.
And that's what my brain just resorts back to 90% of the time. Like when I'm like in a do or die situation, just give it everything I got, because that's kind of the way that I have always lifted. But like especially with deadlift recently, I've been really trying to like work into the tension and then be aggressive.
Controlled rage kind of thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. So this is the last little bit of training we'll get into, and then there's a lot of things I want to cover. But given that deadlift is like the center, it's like the cornerstone of all the strongman. There's an event in every show, and it makes you better at like literally everything else. So you want the biggest deadlift you can, and given that's a point of difference. I mean, you both have monster deadlifts, but I mean, you're in contention for like a top deadlift spot at the biggest shows. Yeah. What are kind of like the general outlines of your deadlift training while balancing everything else? Like, do you guys deadlift weekly? Are you pulling from different heights? How often are you going hard? Is it more reps and volume and repeating sets, or is it more like singles? Like just give us like kind of the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah. So, Tim's training's very heavily conjugate influence because of the West Side, and so we do a lot of chains. We're never pulling on the same bar. In terms of general deadlift strength, like off season, we're always going to be hitting different heights, different bars, chains, bands, whatever. We're never going to until we get closer to the show. That's when it gets really specific to the actual deadlift event. But even when I pulled 1,000 last year in the gym. We were deadlifting heavy. I was deadlifting heavy every
2 weeks,
20 days.
Wow.
Yeah, because we'll go
heavy, meaning like up to a top single, or
no, like
just something
like
with effort.
RPE wise is going to be
RP 7 or 8, for a triple or a double or whatever. But we would alternate. So we would do like a heavy deadlift one week, and then we would do like an accommodating resistance, dynamic resistance the next week. So like really explosive off the ground with bands. And that was it, like, like do like an EMOM, so like RP 6 with bands, and then we get 10-minute EMOM or 8-minute EMOM, something like that.
And I think that's an important distinction for a lot of people, or that's an important point in there, because I think a lot of people hear I deadlift heavy, they think, oh, I'm going in and I got to see God. Like, whereas when you're at the level you're at, a double or triple at an RP 7 or 8, that's heavy. That's enough to influence your recovery over the next couple of weeks.
I think the biggest thing people understand when they're talking like that too is when you go talk about deadlift being like a really basic event, like it's just picking off the ground. Don't make it more than what it is. That's what it is. It's picking something off the ground. So if you deadlift off a deadlift bar before, it's going to be really hard to forget how to do that. Your body's going to be able to come back to it really quick too. So like, and since we are hitting different deadlifts all the time, we're not really like too specific on one. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I need to hit this deadlift twice a week just so I can practice. No, you know how to deadlift. Be an athlete. Don't forget how to deadlift. Yeah. So, I mean, that's one thing we can get away with because I know how to deadlift, that I can hit it whenever I need to or whenever I want. So it's no big – it's already practiced. I think that's the thing.
And whenever you're focusing on that rep work, like you can have an RP 7 or 8 set of 6, but if you're out of position, like you're not getting the proper work. Like you're working muscles that – you don't really need to work. So you got to stay in those positions and be honest with yourself that when the RP starts, when the form starts breaking down, the RP is higher than it should be because you're not in position.
And this is what I find crazy because a lot of this is self-evident to me, but that's after like 10 years of back injuries and then also like talking to other people. I mean, Strongman will fuck your back up if you're not careful, right? Yeah. People start like first 5 years, they think they're invincible. And then you get one thing that goes wrong and it's like, oh shit, that's like the rest of your career. But there's like this sentiment, and it exists a lot on the internet, that, well, the body kind of adapts and your body will get in a good position. You'll get stronger, whatever you get into. And I always get super sensitive when I see people regularly. And I don't mean it's like, okay, you're pulling heavy and there's a little give, but I mean like pronounce, you're getting this involuntary round where your rectors are being stretched open. And that's just kind of a default thing. And a lot of people are like, that's fine. And I'm like, I don't think anybody could survive through the sport if they were doing that. Not just not improve as well as you potentially could have, but that's going to impact your events. It's going to impact your recovery. That's going to just accumulate fatigue like crazy. And I think it's a recipe for injury. But it's just it's refreshing to hear people say like your position is a sign of how in the weeds you are, and you're not supposed to be in the fucking weeds. Yeah,
and you're going to need to do more recovery work, take more drugs, eat more food if your body is broken down from being in a bad position. You're training inefficiently if you're out of position and hurting yourself more than you need to.
Yeah.
So how do you guys work squats into all of that? Do you squat year round, or is that something you only work in?
We'll squat 3 times a week.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah. Sometimes
but it's like
our squat is
it's just a warm up.
Our squat is a warm up. We never really going super heavy on it, but
which we probably should.
It's tailored more towards what that lift is for that day or for that event.
Yeah. So we use it as a warm up. So like if we have like a stone load or something, we'll do Zercher. Like explosive Zercher squats with a camber bar or a SSB bar.
Whenever we're doing overhead press, we're doing
quarter squats that are really explosive with a big triple extension.
With the Mars bar. Yeah. This go around was the first time we actually did regular bar squats because of the behind the neck jerk. That's the first time we've had like a straight bar on our back. Strongest man on earth last year. With that squat event, I pushed my squat a little bit, but that's the first time
It was a similar scheme to how we did the deadlift too, where you would periodize it every few weeks, and then you would do like a light set with an SSB bar for
and then we come back
resistance.
to heavy, but more specific to the show.
Well, and it seems like the benefit of this type of conjugate approach, if we're just taking conjugate to generally mean you're freely rotating, you're not glued to like the same lift every week and like a block to like progress. It seems like there's a lot of even rotation and hitting a lot of base. Like the benefit of that is kind of recovery because you're not hitting the same things the same way to the same threshold. So it's like you can kind of work these patterns in a bunch of different ways. So not only are you getting a more developed overall pattern, it's like your deadlift, you're becoming better at hinging and you're doing it a bunch of different ways. So it's not just better at deadlifting, it's better at kind of hinging in general. But also it's like you might not be able to deadlift every week, but you can deadlift and 18-inch pull and do banded pulls and do speed work and rotate through like that. how you both kind of started on this program kind of at the beginning. You've been working with Tim essentially for the beginning.
Essentially the whole time, yeah.
When I
started
first
with Jackie, which is another female pro that
Gotcha.
here.
And then her business took off, and then Tim finally. All right, so
saw
Tim,
the potential in us. Yeah,
Tim vets people.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to be a trainer here, like a lot of our trainers here, were working out here first for years before he was like, "All right, we can take you on."
Yeah.
So even like for us training, Nick got a little lucky on this one because
we were training together.
Yeah, we're training, but I had a whole year and a half with Jackie, and that was my coach. And then he saw once Jackie told me, he's like, "Okay, I can take you on."
Yeah, because Jackie was coached under Tim, and Tim got her to the pros. And
Gotcha.
Yeah. But so it takes a while if you want to be coached by Tim. Like if he takes you on quick, you consider yourself lucky because you didn't have to go through a vetting process to.
Well, it's smart for him as a businessman, but it's like you're assigning you're putting your reputation on people that may or may not throw skin in the game and show up and do what the fuck they're supposed to, or listen to their RPEs or whatever. But you're also selecting for talent, right? So he's like saying, "I don't want you on my team unless you're gonna be the person that's gonna take off and do what we think you're capable of doing." And it's kind of funny that it is kind of a conjugate thing because that relates a lot to the original West Side. I mean, one of the things that made West Side that I think a lot of people look over is nobody can name another like powerlifting group that was organized that way, where there was an actual team and you were expected to show up and it was hyper competitive. And I wonder with that type of viciousness, plus the drugs, plus the like prison personality types, all in this confined space, with Louis being the master manipulator, kind of like being withholding and holding everybody's trauma in front of them to try and get a world record. Like, I wonder how many different systems would work with that type of psychological warfare, given you get enough nutty people. But the competitiveness and the expectation, I think that's it right there. The expectation, because strongman is a hobby, like all strength sports are, and people have to turn this hobby into a career voluntarily, which is very, very hard to do. Easy to talk about. Everybody loves talking about it. Very few people like doing it. So it's interesting to see the dynamic of what actually takes people that top spot.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the superpowers of having like a training partner like Austin. Like, both of us know what we're looking for in a workout. We're knowing like what the movement's supposed to look like, what we're trying to get out of it. So like we can give real-time feedback on the lift mid-set. And I'm like, "No, you're not. We're not trying to do RDL, or we're not trying to do like we're
fix
trying.
This,
we're
pick
trying
your chest
to,
up.
We're trying to get this out of this lift. So pick your chest up, drive your elbows up, whatever the case may be. We can do it in real time. And it's like basically having a coach with us all the time, all times.
Learned,
but
I trust. If Tim wasn't there, Nick, you're calling my numbers today, kind of thing. And it's the same thing with him. So, and it was crazy. You talk about competitiveness and like how toxic Westside. Well, I want to say it was. Okay, it was toxic in a way.
It wasn't toxic for winning medals, but probably for everything else, right? Yeah.
I mean, me and Nick have gotten arguments before. Let's not beat around the bush there. Like it's brothers fight. So but.
We're competitive in every aspect.
And the thing too is like, I don't want to beat Nick on some bullshit.
Yeah.
And same thing, if he's gonna beat me, he wants to make sure that I'm the completely best too. So like, if I can stick with him on moving events, if he can stick with me on static events, and we know that we're doing everything right, or I want to make sure that he's doing everything right, like, we're only going to make each other better. So there's no point in like sandbagging bullshit and be like, I'm not going to tell him he's doing this wrong, so I can sneak around him on this. Like, I'm at the end of the day, like, the heavy metal, like I made a reel about it, this like blood in, blood out kind of thing, but it's really a brotherhood here where, Tim, we look at him as kind of a like an older brother mentor, and then we have everyone else in the gym too that's really become our family too. But it's like, we got to see these people a lot more than what we've got to see at competition. So I'd rather be good with these people than the people I go against at competition.
No, that's very true from what I've experienced. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, somebody will just out of nowhere be psyching up for a big lift. Like, the whole gym will stop and everybody starts cheering them on like out of nowhere. And it's extraordinarily hard to find that type of engagement from the people around you. But
that comes from the top down. Like, that comes from Tim.
Oh, yeah.
That starts with Tim, and then we promote it, and that's what we like to do as well, because a lot of these guys are our clients. A lot of these people are our friends, and you know, we want to support them as well, and they look up to us. So of course we're going to stop and cheer them on. But you know, like I don't think we would have learned to do that necessarily if Tim, you know,
was just a run of the mill gym
if Tim
owner.
didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? If he was just in the office and writing workouts and sending them, like nobody would care. You know, so it spreads and it's contagious. But like back to the Austin and I thing, like we're competitive. Like not just for numbers, we're competitive on like technique. We're competitive on diet. Like
he got with Nathan Payton. Guess what happened 3 months later?
Yeah.
You know,
I started seeing some crazy results, and so
I was like, all right, whatever I win at Vegas, that's going straight to Payton.
So like we're competitive on recovery. We're competitive on amount of sleep we get. Like it doesn't matter what we're doing. Like I'm always trying to be better than him. And he's always trying to be better than me. And it's not toxic at all. We love it. Like I want to see him do well. He wants to see me do well. And it's and I think that attitude is why this gym is the way that it is.
One of the things that I always rant about, and people look at me sideways, I always try to make this parallel between like lifting and like martial arts, right? Because lifting is so weird because you would think it would benefit from the same structure. Yeah. Like a hierarchy, you have people that have paid their dues, and then a top-down like structure where people know who's full of shit, it's their first day, and who you should actually listen to. Yet everybody gets onboarded by themselves. They sign up for contests by themselves. You know, they're rolling the dice with getting an online coach or with what videos they choose to watch, whatever. It's like a big clusterfuck of information. Everybody's representing some different shit. So like to kind of see that in place is really cool because that's kind of what it's like. It's like you have to pay your dues to be seen as something here, and there's no doubt as to who's in what spot, right? Yeah. I'm sure nobody tolerates somebody around giving like shitty advice or kind of representing authority they don't have.
You know what? You know what I love about this gym? You could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be Donald Trump could walk through here.
Be average
as soon as he walks through his door, everyone's level playing field.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. And then it's like I don't care what numbers you put up, as long as you're a good person and you're trying to get better. Then
and you're contributing to the atmosphere and community
you're welcome.
of the gym. Then
you're welcome. It don't matter. Like we're gonna put you at the same level as everyone else. That's just what it is. So, and I think like you're saying too, like the whole we were just talking about it the other day. It's like, I mean, just kind of old school stuff, but like there's a code of there's like a brother or hierarchy or code that we kind of live by in terms of that. Like, you know, we're not gonna. I mean, it's just the rules that are up there. But same thing. Tim's gonna go by those rules, so we're all gonna go by those rules. And there's this pecking order or level of what the hell word am I thinking of? Seniority that we have to go by, and we just respect it. And if you don't, we have no problem getting rid of you.
And we've had quite a few guys come in here that are like not a good fit for the atmosphere of the gym. Like throwing weights around, being disrespectful to the equipment, being disrespectful to the community and the atmosphere, making people uncomfortable, or like even something as little as like making people feel like they're not like welcome in that sport. We'll get them the fuck out of here so fast.
And that's such a rare thing for anybody to even do that, because usually when gyms set up, they're so desperate to get business or whatever. It's like you almost don't have the ability to enforce those, even if you put the rules up on the wall. So, and most people don't have the balls anyways, because that's a conversation people don't like to have. So they end up kind of being passive aggressive or just not addressing it at all.
Well, what happens is Tim will take them outside. They'll have a talk, you know, and they'll either get butthurt and leave on their own, or they'll get another chance, and then the next time, if they do it again, they're gone.
They'll fall in line quick. People fall in line real quick here, but I mean, it's not in a negative way. It's just you see everyone comes in here. There's everyone, and you benefit from it as long as you fall in line.
Well, yeah, the people that stick around, I mean, they benefit the most because they're actually in a healthy, organized training environment where they're not left to their own devices to just, No, and again, that's like very inspiring. And I wish that was like the model that gyms operated by, because I think everybody that got into lifting culture would be better. I think the sport would be better. You'd have better sportsmanship. You'd have more good information being passed around.
That's that positive masculinity. It's not the toxic masculinity. It's a positive masculinity.
I agree with that, yeah.
It's peace through strength. It's just what it is.
That's awesome.
I've never heard that before.
Peace through strength. Let's talk about diet. You guys mentioned you're with Nathan Payton now, who is,
world renowned.
Yeah, he's known for working with a lot of world's strongest man guys. And I remember first following him. I want to say when Travis Wertmeier was still competing, because he used to be like sloppy fat, and then he got like super jacked.
That was his first guy that he took up. Yeah,
I thought that was Nathan Payton. And then you saw a lot more people as time goes on. what are the changes like? And basically what I'm concerned with is how the hell do you guys stay so big off anything that looks like, I guess, clean eating or a diet? I mean, my intuition would be like, it's got to be a free-for-all at like Golden Corral like every other day to like keep the weight on. Like what kind of stuff do you have you focusing on that's different than what you were doing before?
It's
whole food. Yeah. Whole food, high protein,
and
clean,
timing.
And time.
And timing. Like timing is everything with when it comes in. That's what I learned. Because if you look back even a couple months ago, I didn't realize like how fat I was. Like I was disgusting fat, and I'm like, why no one tell me anything, kind of thing.
We did.
But I was a guy that would eat out every day, like I wouldn't pay attention to food at all. And then like my biggest thing is like, oh, they're gonna take all the good food from me. I was just doing the fat kid thing, like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to eat. I feel like I will not only eat more now, but like I still get to eat the foods that I love. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in the last couple of months is like, all right, dude, like don't go to Whataburger today. Have it right before your training session tomorrow. And then when I go eat it, I actually enjoy it more. It benefits me. Like it's crazy how the timing's everything that I've noticed.
Yeah. And it's like reserving those little cheat meals until you're actually going to utilize those carbs that it gives you. So like 96% of the time it's super, like no butter, no oils, no white sauce, like very lean, very clean, very whole food, like rice, chicken, beef, broccoli, just it's very, very basic foods and not a ton of processed carbs, whole foods. And then you train your body to utilize those natural carbs. And then when you do get those processed sugars and those carbs, it's more intense than any pre-workout I've ever felt.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff is like a NOS booster for strength. Yeah. It's always historically.
Yeah. Well, basically, when I first started with him, I had a month where I didn't have almost any carbs, like basically just enough carbs for my brain to survive. And then he gave me my first cheat meal, which was like a Whataburger with a soda and some fries. I literally was trembling because I had so much energy. I was dripping with sweat because that response to the carbs was so strong. It was more intense than any pre-workout I've ever experienced in my life.
And you're like, that's what I've been doing to myself every time I've had that food.
Every day.
Yeah, your body becomes numb to it.
Yep.
And see, as a weight class guy, because like all weight class guys, I walk around 25 pounds too heavy and then have to go through a cut, whatever. Yeah. But I'm very good about cycling through to where I diet down a little bit for a show, as long as I'm within about 20 pounds, a week out. I could cut that off.
That's crazy.
I mean, you guys probably lose 8 to 10 pounds in a workout when it's hot in here. It's like you.
Yeah, but that's only like 1% of my body weight.
I'm looking at these MMA fighters that are like 190 cutting down to like 160 or whatever.
Hell no.
So it's like you have a ton of water to lose. Yeah. And I stay in just enough condition to where it doesn't take it out of me. But historically, as I diet down, because everything goes in sequence, I end up doing kind of a diet. I'll lose like 8 or 10 pounds of body fat the month out. And then the week of, I pull carbs. So then that's 6 or 8 pounds like that over a couple of days. And then I go in depleted to my cut. And that's the 24 hours out. I'm throwing on the sauna suit and I'm walking stairs or I'm running or I'm sweating any which way I can. And then when I weigh in, at that point though, my refeed is like a disgusting pig orgy of like the most processed shit imaginable. Yeah. And I usually end up getting heavier than I was when I started like a month before. I got the moon face, I'm all puffy but it's like what it does to your body in terms of like performance and fuel, like immediately, it's just insane. So it doesn't matter how depleted I was 2 weeks ago. It's like, I'm going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, I think, end up going that route. If you're in open, and you end up going like a Glenn Ross or something, where it's like, I'm just strong all the time.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're strong, but also like, what's your sleep like?
Diabetic.
Pick up a sandbag. Diabetic, not going to live too long.
But I think that's probably why we peak so well too, because the training and the food and everything is all pointing towards the show. Like it doesn't matter. Like our food is progressively overloading as well as the training as we lead into a show, and it's all calculated out, and it's like that's why we peak so good, because it doesn't matter what we're doing here, it matters what we're doing there.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to think about how many times a day do you have to eat in order to get your calories out of
5 times a day.
We 5 times, but I have 5 full meals, but I have a bowl of yogurt right before bed.
I'm at 5. I'm doing such good on like just the foundation diet right now. I think because of how horrible I used to eat that I honestly I think
how much weight have you lost?
I'm down 30 pounds.
But he's stronger than ever.
Well, I'm stronger than I was.
You've probably recomped a bit. There's probably some muscle gain there too. So I would think.
For sure. For sure.
No, like it's,
well, you got a DEXA scan last year. You were like, what, 310 lean body mass?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what I am now. I was 24% body fat. I was 410 or 406.
Might need to check those numbers.
I don't know, but it was saying I was 310 lean body mass. That was fat Austin. I don't know what it is now. I need to go back and do that.
And I was 330 last year. I was 330 at like what 18% body fat or something.
Because they had you at what 24%?
Yeah.
Because I'm like 22% right now. So.
But he's got like his quads is what is the reason.
Yeah.
Because he's got gigantic fucking legs that are lean.
Okay.
It's just the gut.
I hold all my weight right here.
It's just the gut.
Oh no, I'm sure. Like,
and he's got huge abs too. Like if he lifts his shirt up right now, he's got abs on the top.
Like I bet you got a shit ton of lean mass. I mean, you wouldn't be competing at the level. You wouldn't look the way you do.
And he's fast, dude. He's fast.
If you did it,
he can move.
But I think DEXA scans get wonky with bigger guys because there's
our elbows will get cut off because the table's too small.
They had to tape my feet together so it stayed.
They had to throw some tape to bring my elbows in closer.
I just love watching Greg Doucette every time he comes across like Brian Shaw got a DEXA scan or whatever. Like Mitch Huber, he called Mitch Huber fat, and it's like I think Mitch Huber got a little bothered by that, and went on a diet or something. But anyways, like I think a lot of people are under the misconception that to perform and to be good at that level does require just gorging on everything you can in order to get the calories in. Yeah. Where I think it is kind of refreshing now to see guys almost eating like bodybuilders. Like you're planning your meals, everything serves a purpose. You're performance athletes, and it is surprising when you do go that route. Like you're not hungry. You're eating so consistently. You can fit in those types of meals. Whataburger. Yeah. Whataburger's trash, but I just say that as a California.
Whoa. All right. We got issues now.
Sorry,
all right.
This
In-N-Out's trash.
Okay. Yeah. Taking over, bro.
What the hell?
It's taking over.
Have you eaten In-N-Out in Texas?
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's like 6 times shittier than the In-N-Out in California.
Is it?
Yes.
I didn't notice a difference. I barely have a sense of smell, though. So.
It's so much worse.
I would go to.
You think it's worse?
In-N-Out in California is passable. Like I could actually enjoy a burger. In-N-Out in Texas, trash.
No. You know what it is? Right. You know what it is when you eat it in Texas? You're surrounded by a bunch of humidity and pollen and shit, and it affects your taste buds. So it tastes fundamentally different. California, you got the clean air, and you're like, oh, that's false. That's good.
Clean, liberal air.
Yeah.
No, bears eat beets.
Battlestar Galactica.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're going to deport him back to California.
Get the ice on him.
Oh, bro. No, you have to put me in handcuffs to go back there. That's, I remember so clearly, like, especially coming up in like the amateur ranks 10, 15 years ago, the heavyweights, it was almost exclusively guys that would like hang around. And this is in California, there's a couple of strongman gyms out there. And it'd be guys that would like do a log press and they'd hang out for 15 minutes and clear out like a roll of donuts or something. Yeah. And it's like, those are my carbs, whatever. Yeah, but it is something that you have to get a handle on if you want to do as much as you can with what you have. There just isn't any way around it.
I think the biggest thing from last year to this year, well, just like I realized like how in shape you have to be to compete at the 4 majors. Like I didn't do the Rogue Invitational, but if I had to do that one, I don't know if I could have.
Not even talking about events specifically, but like just the format of shows. He had to compete 4 days at World's Strongest Man.
Oh, that's
like
nuts.
Just with that much mass, there's no way you can be at your top level for that long of time. There's no way. As a leaner, more athletic person, you can recover and take less damage and just be better. More prepared. Just be better. Yeah, but no, you can be more prepared for longer.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, and last year was a wake up call. It's like I knew I could hang with these guys, but it's only like I would fizzle out on shows bad. Yeah. And I mean I would be first, second, third place going into day 2, and then I would start dropping points on that, and then. Even this Arnold prep, the biggest thing I've noticed is like I don't feel like shit right now. Yeah. Like I feel good. I feel ready. I feel beat up. Feel like I hit by a truck, but like in terms of my body and like just sleeping and like I feel so much better.
And I think that was one of the reasons that convinced him to get on with Nathan Payton too, is because I won the Arnold Amateur, and like it was a few days. It was 3 days. But the last day I was feeling like shit. Like, and I'm a pretty athletic guy, but the last day I was hurting. And then I jumped on with Nathan Payton, and then we did the Shaw Open. And by the last day, everybody was dying, and I was brand new. I was fresh.
So aside from actual training and working on capacity, like you're finding it's actually easier to handle volume and last of these shows
on multi-day shows,
having gotten your diet
and it proved it again at OSG, because on the last day everybody was getting body work. Everybody was doing these panic, massages and rubs and tape and everything, and I'm dancing in the back. I felt fresh. I felt unaffected.
Are there like things around the contest that you're also doing with your eating that you think are playing a role? Is there a lot of focus on that, or is it just general kind
like
of
contest specifically?
Yeah,
this is my first show with Peyton, so I'm gonna figure that out in the next couple weeks. But
is it really?
Yeah, I didn't do. I the money I won at Vegas, I purchased his services.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so this is gonna be the first.
I'm excited. But no, it's pretty carb load the night before.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty standard.
Pretty basic breakfast, just carbs during the day. Not a ton of water.
Gotcha.
Damn it! No,
Don't need a bunch of intimates and sugar pants.
If you like hydrate like crazy, like pounding Gatorades during a show, you're actually dehydrating yourself because you're removing carbs, removing electrolytes.
I hear they mix it with water. It's like a 1-to-1 water and Gatorade. I hear is like what the endurance guys do for that reason.
Well, you just sip to thirst. Okay. If you're pissing a lot during competition day, you're dumping stuff that you need.
Yeah.
So you
learned that one
sip,
from
you
Peyton
sip,
before.
like you hydrate the days before. Game day, you try not to drink a ton.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Not flushing things out.
Yeah.
When I compete, I don't piss for like a day and a half because my body is just soaking everything back. No, it's wild. Yeah, I'll go like literally like 36 hours.
Sense,
yeah. But having gone open and seeing how important it is to maintain the electrolytes and everything to keep going throughout a show. And that's the other thing. It's like the formats, but it's like the types of events that you're seeing now. Because I want to talk about the Shaw Classic. I'm just having a ball talking to everybody I can about how that show went down, because it's an example of, it's not just Shaw, it's like a trend in the sport. It's like 5 years ago, I think, shows, especially at this level, I don't think we're nearly as rigorous as they are now. It's like they're always trying to fit in more events. The events are heavier. More of them are max effort.
We got in at the perfect time.
You did, yeah. Hey, good. You're young. You got a couple years before shit starts blowing off. Tell me about the Shaw Classic, because Mitch said that's like the heaviest, most brutal show he's ever done.
Yeah, I can agree with him on that.
But then Luke said he didn't have nearly as hard of a time. Not that the specific events weren't bad. I mean, he was talking about like the wheelbarrow medley just being god awful, but having thicker joints. You're a little more stockier than someone like Mitch is. How much did that show fuck you up?
Honestly, it not as bad as I thought it was. It was a brutal show in the going through it. Like it was tough, because it was like, all right, max deadlift, and then max keg over bar, and then you're gonna do a medley, and the last log's gonna be 425. And then by the way, we're gonna do a max stone at the end of the day. That's the, like, I think the mental part of like having to like good thing I have that background of just being all right, one play at a time kind of thing. But like if you look, like when I look back on it, I was like, holy shit, we did all that in one day, and then we had to sleep and come back and do another like heavy 4 events. That was the rough part. Like, but I think I took a week off after that show to get ready for Giants, but like Giants only 5 events, so versus 8 over 2 days, like that was, I was like, oh man, this is a break.
Yeah.
I could do that. I only have a suited max deadlift. This is gonna be easy kind of thing. But yeah, no,
what was what event there did you find yourself in the middle of just being like, fuck this?
The last one. That's also because I was so like
the finger fingers
to power stairs. But I mean, that just goes back to like I wasn't feeding myself correctly, and I was way overweight. Because I should be able to finish that event easily, but I wasn't prepared for it.
Like that honestly, that event should have been really good for you.
Yeah, because I can move, and I can move with weight, so I should have. But
he's got a huge deadlift. He's got crazy overhead stability, leg drive.
I just fell because I didn't feed my body correctly for months in advance. So,
dude, I didn't know this was your first show with Nathan. I'm really excited for you, dude. That's gonna be freaking sweet.
So,
that's gonna be a whole new world.
That was the one that I was like, damn, this sucks. Like this because I couldn't. It was a 600-pound power stair, and I
550,
I couldn't get over one step. I was like, "You kidding me right now?"
Like and it cost on podium spot.
Yeah, I went from 3rd to 5th place on that one.
Well, you still because Hatton was 3rd, and then you were sandwiched between Trey.
No. Trey was Hatton, Trey, me, and then Singleton was 6th. Yeah.
So 5th. I mean, to be sandwiched between those two people, 5th out of that show, that's still pretty damn good, especially considering you feel like you weren't even at kind of a peak capability.
No. My knee was messed up too. So like all my pressing in that whole entire show was strict.
Had a sore throat for a month and a half.
No, not that. I got that fixed too though. But.
It's bananas to think that anybody could get through that show with anything, giving them shit.
Yeah.
So now we got the Arnold coming up. Let's talk about the big show. You got 11 guys. Nick's number 11.
Yep.
Is that how that
well,
works?
Mateus pulled out, so it's 10 now.
Oh, it is 10. Okay. Yeah. You guys have just give ballpark thoughts, either predictions or how you're feeling about the show, the prep events you think you're going to do well in.
I mean, this is my debut pro show. Probably the worst possible one that I could have asked for. It's the heaviest one with the least amount of moving events. So,
and with the lineup.
And with the crazy stacked lineup.
Like there's not
a sorry motherfucker in that lineup. So my goal is to just go in there, compete against myself, really, just try and hit some PRs, do my absolute best, win the crowd over, and just enjoy myself, enjoy that experience of my first pro show. I'm not going there to win necessarily. I'm going there to beat my previous bests and to just have a good time, really. That being said, some of the numbers that I've been putting up, if anybody makes mistakes, I'm making points up on them. So really, it's like I want to put pressure on all those guys to, if they fuck up, my lifts are going to be right there to take over. So I think there's some opportunities to get some points. I think on the frame I can get some good points. I think on the carry and drag medley I can get some good points. I think potentially on the stone I can get some decent points. Where that's going to put me, I have no idea. But Austin, I think the show is perfect for you, brother.
Yeah, I feel good about the show. Like, I won't
Training's been looking crazy.
Yeah,
too.
I won't ever be a person to tell you predictions or how I'm going to put numbers. I just don't do that. Like, I've just been in sports way too long to. One, I think it sounds arrogant as shit, and then two,
it's almost like knock on wood. It's like you're asking for bad juju.
And I always say this. I don't make this more than what it is. We are lifting weights in front of people, and that is a blessing. Mm-hmm. It is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, and I will never not be grateful for that. Like, I'm seriously, they're paying for me to go with my friend to Columbus to lift weights in front of thousands of people. Like, it doesn't get better than that for me. Like, I get to go do what I love in front of people. That's awesome. So at the end of the day, like he's saying, any show I do, I'm going to beat myself. That's wherever that puts me. That's where it puts me. Of course, if it puts me on number one, I'm going to be talking a lot of shit. There's a lot of people that I'm going to be like, yeah.
All this goes out the window. You're like, world's strongest man. I'm number one.
You losers.
But
easiest show of my life.
But no, I just in terms of last year, where I put myself and knowing that my training's gotten better, my nutrition's gotten better, everything's gotten better. My expectations for myself is a lot higher than what I don't know, middle of the pack. Let's say that.
I would wager there's probably a couple guys, probably a few personality types we can guess at, who do spend a little too much time thinking about the final placing and the podium and every particular event, probably to their own detriment. Mm-hmm. It seems like, especially if there's guys that have been kind of at this level for a while, haven't really broken through, there's like this pressure to get to that next step and show everybody and on and on and on. And recently, especially some of the other people I've been talking about, the topic of like process has come up, focusing on the process and not the final result instead of fucking your training or your psychology or making bad decisions because all you see is that finish line. Instead, focusing on yourself, having gratitude, understanding that there's, even if the show doesn't go well, there's more to it. There's plenty of reasons to be happy. It seems so vital to lasting.
That's what I was saying. Like, I don't have to. That's another thing. Weightlifting's a luxury. Like, I could be working construction and not being able to lift weights, right? But I'm around these people at the gym more than I am people at this show. Yes, I like being around them, but this is more important to me than. So I enjoy the process so much more. Like,
we have a good time. We train. We have fun.
Well, I mean, you see our YouTube channel.
We film Texas Boys content. We've been having so much fun.
Yeah, it's just fun for us, and it just goes back to like that, like.
And we're getting better. We're consistently getting better. We're always getting better. We're always pushing each other and ourselves. And I think that's why we do so well. Is because we don't like. Yes,
don't make it more than what it is.
Yeah,
and then,
of course we want to win. That's cool. That's great.
Hell yeah. But and also too at the same time, like anything could happen. Anything can happen. There's so much stuff.
In a split second.
And there's so much things that can happen between even here and getting to Columbus, or even when we're in the show. So to like
the journey could be over in an instant.
Like even to put any kind of I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. Like I'll make predictions for other shows that I'm not in just based on other shit I see. But in terms of stuff that I'm doing,
doesn't matter till it's over.
But and then too, like don't take that for weakness too. I think people take the kindness for weakness sometimes too. Because when we get on the stage, you're gonna get everything. Like it don't matter.
We're going to give 100%.
The dog's coming out. The dog's coming out, and it's gonna happen. Like we're hunting at that point.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
Back to that gratitude thing. Like whenever Austin fell with that 470 kg deadlift, like I thought his quads were gone. I thought his quads were popped off. I thought it was over for at least a year for him. And it was like it happened so fast. Just a little stumble and he was gone. And we all took a second. Me, Austin, and Tim we stepped aside once we got back into the back and made sure he was okay. We just took a second. We stepped to the side and we were like, we appreciated the moment. We were like, this can be gone at any time. And I just want to, like, we all just were like, I love doing this with y'all. I'm so grateful to be doing this with y'all.
And just remember we're in an arena.
Freaking live.
Yeah, we're in an arena lifting weights in the middle of Vegas. Come on.
It just put it in perspective,
Where weightlifting kind of took us. That's crazy. Yeah. Like I just walked in his gym. And next thing you know, I'm lifting 1,000 pounds in Vegas. That's fucking nuts to me.
Well, what's nuts is that you guys got in when the sport is inarguably more competitive and has more attention on it than it ever has in its history. Everybody romanticizes like the old days or whatever, but it's like, and I tell people this story to date myself. Like when I started competing, I've been in the kiddie pool the whole time, the amateur ranks, but like I competed with Kristen Rhodes, heads up, because she had to compete in the men's division because there was no this is the origins of this small amateur sport. It was a bunch of weirdos in their basement, in their backyard. No athletes.
They're still there. But.
There was every 20th guy was talented and strong, but it's as the sport got bigger, got more talent, social media, got more money, got attention. It's been doing that nonstop since the 90s. And now the numbers are crazy, the talent is crazy. It's strong, big guys that can move anything and recover from anything. So it's crazy to see you guys come into that, the crucible. But it's also, I'm really excited to see how it goes down because, it's your first, big show, right? Yeah. Which is intimidating as shit because I think the Arnold has more gravitas than Worlds does. A lot of people get invited to Worlds that have no business going to Worlds. Yeah. Nobody gets invited to the Arnold that doesn't belong there. All you got to do is surprise a couple people, one or two events, throw a fit on stage, have some personality, which the sport is desperately in need of, and everybody will love you. You'll be a perennial appearance there. And it's both of you, with the chemistry and the motivation and the training and the fucking numbers, I think it's going to be a bloodbath at the Arnold. It's going to be a good show.
It's going to be fun.
The crazy thing is that you have to pull 900 to get anywhere close to 5th place at a show is nuts, in my opinion.
I just went through the whole history of Strongman. I needed an easy bit of content, so I ranked every World's Strongest Man winner by their lifts. And it's if I ask you who's the strongest strongman to have ever fucking strongman, it's going to be people by default either say Eddie Hall, or a lot of people still say Zadrunas because he was so dominant. You go back and look at Zadrunas' number, his log press still holds, but his squat and deadlift would not do anything in this field. I think his biggest deadlift was a 950. It was mid-high nines, maybe.
Hey, that's a pretty big deadlift.
It's Nick, I'm basically saying you're as good as Andrade.
Yes, dude. Well, I haven't got the 150 yet. Okay, we'll get there.
But yeah, you look at the old Hummer tire deadlift. Some of the best guys in the world. There were guys who would drop out at 880. And it's to see, now it's Jesus Christ, everybody needs an 1,100 pound, 16-inch pole to whatever.
And there's such a depth of athletes coming up too. I saw it at OSG. I was like, holy shit, there's 20 fucking guys here that.
Well, there's always like some dude that walked out of the bushes somewhere, and like
Trey Mitchell,
who the hell are you, dude? And it didn't post nothing, and just where'd you come from? Yeah, and just shows up. Always...
And I think that's one of the strongest arguments for having Giants Live in the U.S. is because there's so many guys who and maybe not even make it a World Strongest Man qualifier, but just have a circuit somewhere between OSG and Worlds and Arnold's and the top majors that you can filter some of those guys out, because there's so much talent and so many guys that are there. There's 20 guys I can name right off the bat that are right in that level that would put on an amazing show at a Giants Live US. And I think that would be such a cool thing to have, some intermediate show between the amateur majors and the actual majors.
I love seeing that, because the World Strongest Man started as an American property.
Yeah.
I want to say it was only Americans in the first show. I don't know. Let's count Franco Columbu or whatever. Yeah, but it was World Strongest Man. It's like the World Series, right? But it was just American bodybuilders athletes. And it was a spectacle. And then and then they sold it, and it's had a lot of European influence. So I love the fact that Shaw had his run of domination, but now it feels like 80% of the new talent is American. Do you guys have any insight on why you think that is?
And Canadian. There's a ton of just North Americans. There's a handful of guys out of Australia, a bunch of guys out of the UK, but I don't know what it is about Americans and Canadians. I think it's just
water.
It's the well water.
It's the well water. Man, I really could. Maybe because our amateurs is so damn competitive. Yeah. Nationals is a grinder from Strongman Corp. Arnold's
500 people on the show, just the meat grinder.
Jeez, and then some of these local shows in Texas are. You gotta be strong just to place.
I wonder if it is the infrastructure competitively, because you do have such fleshed out filtering systems between Strongman Corp in US and then now OSG or whatever. It seems like there's so many paths for good athletes to get found and siphoned in over such a big country. But then again, I interviewed Filip Zajacek, the skinny kid that won. He's 19. He won the 90 kilos. He says he's natty, and I believe him. It doesn't make sense. He doesn't look like he should be as strong as he is. Yeah. But I was talking to him, and it's we're out of the American education system now, and he's telling me everything about his introduction to lifting. It doesn't look fucking anything like anybody's introduction to lifting over here, because he actually started learning to program and follow the process very intelligently. It took me 15 years to figure out this. He's no, we started with this and tweaking. He's telling me step by step, just very disciplined, very intelligent. I'm I don't know, we gotta.
Well, that opened my mind. I think the thing is too is I didn't get into the sport until after college. If I would have started weightlifting with the knowledge that I got now when I was younger, I think I would be a Matus kind of young guy too. But I think the Europe's or Europeans, they don't have football. So if you're a big guy, you're gonna be filtered into weightlifting. Yeah. Or the American football over there is just god awful. You know what I mean? So and I think a lot of people like Buck and Bryce played for the Cowboys.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was. He was a.
Looks like that dude's a freaking
D2 national champion. He was on a good football team in Minnesota, but we don't find the sport until after, and then since it's so hard to get in the NFL, it's so hard to get into and then sometimes when I had an opportunity to go play AFL or overseas, I was I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to. I'm cool here. I don't want to do that. So the next competitive thing for me was weightlifting, and so we find it now. And then I think when you get a little bit of a disposable income because now you have a job and you have competitiveness, that's where these. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me!
When did that die?
Oh, it died. Oh, Jesus. Ooh.
My ass was starting to hurt.
No, I didn't feel it till I stood up. Holy crap, we needed that. All right. Welcome back. Technical difficulties because, of course, I'm running everything. So if any of this audio is usable, that is a blessing. Does anybody remember what we were talking about?
No. All right, next question.
Let's start new. What did I have? We covered training. We covered nutrition. We covered strongest man on earth. World's Strongest Man. That's coming up. How many months away are we from that?
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
It's 2 months away?
Yep. Shit, well, it's middle of May.
Yeah,
it's middle of May.
So have you begun integrating any of that in your training, or are you waiting until after the Arnold to throw that in?
So we do a mandatory 1 week break after every show, like just mandatory. Don't show up, just completely shut down, get away from the gym, go run some errands that you had to do.
Get your life together.
Get your life together. So
clean your house.
So when we get back into training, we can focus 100% on training. Yeah. Life happens in training anyway. So we're like, there's some days that we don't compete or we don't train together. Whether
it's pretty rare though.
It's really rare, but I mean, we know how to work around it. Whatever, and Tim can program different for us that day. But we'll always take a week off, so we can when we come back, we're back to 100% training, and then I think we got 6 weeks after that. Get ready for Worlds, but I mean
that includes the week off is in the 6 weeks, so we'll have five training weeks. So we'll come back into the ramp up peak.
Sweet.
So having looked over the events and then you having done Worlds already, do you feel like it's a pretty easy transition, or do you feel like there's going to be a lot of manic effort to try to clean up some of those events and get yourself ready for that different
I feel like
lineup?
We're stronger than we've ever been going into this show, so I don't think it's going to be hard to be strong. I think it's just we're going to be taking a few weeks just to get familiar with whatever event
that event is, be specific to it. But
I think the strength's there. I mean, I don't think we're going to get much stronger between the Arnolds and Worlds. I think we're just going to focus on,
which is good. I mean, if you're not strong for the Arnolds, then like you shouldn't be going, right? But I ain't stressing it. I mean, the only thing that kind of sucks about Worlds is the duration. And then they're taking away the rest day. So it's going to be 2 days straight into the finals.
No shit.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, they're taking away the stone off.
They might do it like they did in 2020, where they do like a stone run.
That'd be cool. Either way, I don't think they should be taking stones. I think stones need to be in Worlds twice, regardless of what the event is. But yeah, so the format's gonna be a little different this year. But it's a grind. It is a grind. Oh my God! But it's fun. It is a fun experience.
I'm so excited
to lift outside too, because most of the shows that we do are gonna be like convention center or like arena type. But lifting outside is really fun.
Yeah, it's in Sacramento this year, so you're gonna get some good weather. Yeah. And it's
we're gonna be prepared for that.
Is it supposed to be hot or something like that?
Yeah. But like not hot like this, but like it'll probably be nice for us.
Oh.
But it'll be like it'll be 80s, 90s.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's gonna feel like a tropical vacation.
Yeah.
But we show up some like bright red Trump hats, piss off the liberals.
But no, we have a nice yard outside in the back of Heavy Metal that we can go and train in. It's nice and flat and compact. So whatever events that we know are going to be outside, like especially like overhead press events where like the sun might be a factor, we'll go train those outside as we get closer.
Do you feel like most people think of the dynamic between the Arnold and World's Strongest Man historically as like these offset events? One's very short distance, very heavy, very maximal. The other's lighter, more speed or endurance or skill or whatever. Do you feel like that dynamic kind of holds up with these run of events, or has Worlds kind of crept up, gotten heavier at all?
We don't know the events for Worlds yet.
No,
really?
No, they haven't. Yeah.
We don't know.
That's wild.
Bro, you want to talk about learning how to be a professional strongman? Once you get into this little top level, learning how to deal with the different promoters and how they send out stuff has been a learning experience, because some ones are really on it, some are not, some are they pick and choose when they want to tell you stuff. It's crazy, but I mean, it is what it is. You just that's just the one thing that I can agree to is everyone is experiencing it. Like if I was the one that's only experiencing it, I would be pissed. But everyone's experiencing it, so I have no issue with it.
Yeah. But a bit of culture shock for me too, with the amount of like media and back and forth emails and forms to fill out. It's a lot. It's like you
gotta pass physicals. You gotta, because you're not gonna put someone on TV that's gonna die. So you gotta be a healthy human being to be there. But yeah, and then you gotta give them the whole background on this, and they want to know this. It truly is like
your whole life story.
You have to be a professional, because also too, they're not gonna deal with incompetent, like if you're not going to send emails on time, you're not going to I have my wife read over everything before I send it, just so I don't look like an idiot. But yeah, no, I don't want to, and especially I don't want to be the guy that's like, look at this dude, like he doesn't do anything on time, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do this. Like I'm as soon as email comes, I'm sending it back right away. I'm trying to be the easiest person to work with, so I'm more, I'm up to being worked with again. But yeah, that's the biggest thing with these, like getting to the next level, is learning how to be a true professional with that kind of stuff. So, but you can kind of get a grip on what the world's events are by looking at what Giants Live Europe looks like.
That's usually they're usually pretty similar to the group events.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have no idea what finals events. We have no idea, like, for sure weights or whatever.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be fun. So, but that's the thing with our training too. Like I said, we're always touching new stuff. We're always doing this. So whatever it is.
That's where I was gonna go before the audio crapped out. Your style of training seems to inherently give you an edge for that kind of uncertainty, because you guys by default cover so many bases, do so many different things. But you were talking about guys finding strongman after like college, and because everybody in the U.S. starts sports in school, and then many filter out into college and have a very well-rounded athletic base before they end up in kind of a hobby secondary sport like this. And I was talking to Luke Hatton, and he was saying something very similar. He thinks he had such a quick rise because he had 15 years of GPP work playing all these other sports. And then he comes in and it's like, well, now your base is this wide. You can just shoot to the moon. Whereas if you're the guy that's like 19, 20, 21, it's just been lifting, or strongman all the way up. It's like you haven't had the opportunity to fill yourself out. And I even heard some guys saying that they credit that not just to success, but actually staying relatively injury-free, where so many other guys snap themselves up. So you played football in college?
I played football and I wrestled in college.
And you wrestled. Yeah. Scary. That's a scary combo. I'm trying to imagine.
I had no life in college. It was right after football season. Oh, I would play at 310. I would have to cut to 285.
I was going to say, I thought they had a weight cap in wrestling.
So I'd cut to 285 all November, and then I was on a mat in December and going to March the next year, wrestling, and then straight into, and then I would have to do spring ball right after that, and I would have maybe May to myself, and then I was back to school for summer camp football and doing the process all over again. But yeah, and I've been lifting weights since I was 12, 13. I've been in a weight room that long. Especially I was lucky enough to go to a high school that took weightlifting seriously. So I look back and I was totally green. I had no idea what I was doing, but I would just follow what the coach told me to do. And I was squatting 500-600 in high school, and I had pretty decent. I was just always a strong dude, but yeah, I was constantly in the weight room. And then since I was strong in the weight room, I wanted to be somewhere I was good. So I always came back to weight room. But yeah, just being in the weight room alone, regardless of strongman, like I needed that, and that's where that's how this whole journey started. Was once school was done and sports was done, I needed to stay in shape, and the only way I knew how to do that was being in the weight room. So I started lifting at a community center here in town, and then lucky enough I ran across heavy metal on Instagram, and I lived down the street, so I just started coming here, and that's how. But being a big dude and being able to move, like I've always been able to move, like that's always been a thing. That's never been I just learned how to do that. Like I had to learn how to run early.
Well, that's the hidden thing that a lot of people aren't going to see when they look at you compete, because people put you into categories right off the, like I already said, it's Eddie Hall and Mateus or whatever, right? But they're going to be like, Austin's a static guy. That's their impression of you. He deadlifts and presses 1,000,000 pounds, but he's like 400 pounds, and people are automatically going to think X, Y, and Z about carries or medleys or whatever. But what they don't see is you're the big guy that can move, because I mean, to be 285 and doing shit on a wrestling mat requires a kinesthetic ability and a speed and a violent, aggressive intent. Being able to do that over a lot of different movement patterns.
What'd you get? Top 3 in the frame and yoke at Worlds?
Oh, second.
Second?
Behind Singleton.
Yeah. So he can move. Boy can move.
So that's the thing, that it's going to take a while before people are like, oh yeah, Austin can also move, before they start assigning that to you. But it is crazy to see that trend of like the most dominant, longest lasting people almost always seem to have that background, no matter how big or small they are when they compete. It's like, were you an athlete or did you just start lifting weights and then try to apply that to movie? Did you play sports in high school?
I did cross country.
You did?
Yeah, I was a runner.
That's quite the transition there. How much did you weigh when you were doing cross country?
So whenever I started lifting, I was like 170 pounds in my frame.
Wow.
So it was very, very skinny. And you know, my dad was always a runner too, but he
looked like a crackhead when you walked in here, bro.
Yeah, literally. And I walked in here already beefed up to like 230, 240. So I had already been lifting weights for 3-4 years on my own, and just trying to get big. And you know, I thought I was, and then I walked in here, and you know, since then I put on another 100 pounds, more than 100 pounds.
Easy, yeah.
But it's been a journey, man. I started like we would do 5 miles in the morning, 3 miles at night during high school, and you know, run. And you know, like I had this stigma against weightlifters. You know, like I would see these football guys like, oh, those guys are fucking losers. Like, you know, imagine
and we were looking at you saying, look at these losers.
Like imagine like
it's like, you can't catch me.
You never get this. You'll never get this.
Hey, go run a mile, bro. I'll be here.
And you know, so like I always had this pretty negative opinion of weightlifters. And you know, my dad was a pretty big influence on me. Like he had like this little home gym, and he would always be working out, and he you know, would run 10 miles to work and back, or he would bike to work and back. And you know, he also liked to lift weights and stuff. So he was a pretty big influence on me. And then when he passed, I was like, you know, maybe there's something there. So then I started going to the gym. I was like, if it worked for my dad as a coping mechanism, maybe it could work for me too. So I gave it an open mind. And so in 2015, I started going to UTSA, at the rec at UTSA, and just started lifting weights, and I fell in love. And
he's always kept his athleticism through. Like it's crazy. Even at his frame now, 330, he's still's got 40+ box jump. Like dude can only more than that. Like he quite easily can jump that high. And
well, I'm sure people like mistake you for like a tight end or something. For like the NFL. So you have the build and the physicality that kind of speaks to that. Even though, I mean, obviously we can't see through your genes.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is he's a recently big dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
I'm new big.
It's funny, man. Like
it hasn't become part of your psyche yet.
No. I came
like,
in here. I was like, bro, why is it so hard to tie my shoes? He goes,
oh yeah, you're just learning about this, brother. Yeah, like trying to fit into small places. Like, oh, why is my shirt raising up? Or
so he gave me all the fat boy tips.
I got chub rub now. Like, welcome to the.
Yeah, I was like, bro, why are my thighs rubbing together? He's like, oh, bro, I got you. Like,
he gave me. To get all the lubricants.
He gave me all the tips.
Anti-chafing.
Yeah, he gave me all the tips. I didn't know.
It is. It's a specific lifestyle. There's got to be a support group or something. Yeah, there's going to be a time where you're in the kitchen, so you're going to have to tie an apron or something, and you're going to be like, my fingers.
No, this does not. Yeah, it's just stuff you're like, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
That's right.
That's funny.
Like, be on top of a container.
We went up on top of the container to film a new intro for our YouTube channel yesterday, and I guess he's afraid of heights. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that bad.
My big ass doesn't belong anywhere higher than the ground.
Is there a story behind that? You have a traumatic incident?
No, I've just been big my whole life. I do not need to be up.
You can just put 2 and 2 together. What happens? It's like that rung can't quite hold you. It's all coming down.
When you're this big and you fall, it hurts.
Did they get that on the drone footage? Do we have footage of Austin?
We have phone footage from Michelle, the wife of Tim Ingram, of him crawling on his hands and knees, trembling across the top of this container.
I can't know, man.
Maybe we'll find that for you. Put it in here.
My weight, this size, does not need to be moving like that or be up that high or nothing. It's fine. And you know what?
There's a YouTube collab there somewhere. You and Eddie doing some like American Ninja Warrior.
Hell no!
No.
Yeah,
I'll watch them. Hey, have fun.
Yeah.
No, I can't do roller coasters. I don't
even think they let you on a roller coaster.
I don't even know if I get a click, but yeah. No, see, that's my excuse. I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm like super comfortable with heights. Like I used to do.
This dude was like on the edge. Oh yeah.
It's like 10 feet off the ground, you baby.
That's because you still think you're light.
That's why. I know, maybe, yeah.
But I want to see you hit that thing and roll, see what happens.
Yeah, right.
New weight.
Yeah. Well, because I used to do parkour. Like whenever I was done with competitive, Well, because whenever I was done with competitive cross country, like I was like, I still want to run, but it's boring, and I don't want to just do that. So I would run and then start climbing on stuff, and like, you know, just I learned how to like jump and like wall climb and then jump off and roll, and so I could jump off like almost 2-story building.
Let's go right now. Let's see you jump out that thing.
We'll
Hey, we're competing. Hey, we're competing in a couple weeks, bro. I can't be doing this shit.
See it.
So I'm like super comfortable with
we're gonna find a time where we can see you. I want to see you roll again.
Okay.
Everybody loves talking about like pound for pound shit with lifting. You can't give your numbers out, being like, well, so and so lifts 3 times body, whatever. But right here we got the strongest parkour athlete pound for pound.
Oh god, that's my new Instagram name.
Yeah, change your name on Instagram.
They're using all of them. World's strongest whatever.
Yeah, right.
World's strongest
diabetic.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that's noticed that trend.
Yeah. World's strongest
teacher, second grade math teacher
in Cleveland, Ohio, with the phone number of.
Yeah, they want you to think they're doing it. Ironically, they're not. The first opportunity they get their world's strongest whatever, they do it. Yeah, it's the we don't quite yet have as many divisions as powerlifting does, so this is their participation.
Well, we're getting close, man. We gotta start. We gotta put a fucking stop to this.
I know. With how many classes at OSG it took all day.
What'd you think of the OSG format? Because
I loved it, man.
Where they had everybody go in little
in little blocks. I freaking loved it.
From looking on the outside, dude. I was like, this is smart because I already knew like you don't have to be there all day.
Yeah,
I was super torn going into it. I thought the exact same thing because last time I went was 2019, and you had to be there all day.
All day, yeah.
Because it was just like nationals
and it was
or whatever.
3 hours between events.
Oh my god, you had to watch everybody else, and it's for 2 events or whatever. Yeah. And it sucks. So I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's great. I can actually go have a vacation. But I
watched the YouTube.
It was so dead. There was nobody in the stands. There was no ambient sound. Because when you did have everybody together, it kind of felt like, I don't want to say a circus. It kind of felt like a strongman festival. Everybody was in the back. Everybody was talking. Everybody was making noise. There was more, I don't know, it was more lively. So it seemed like there was a little bit lost there. But
it felt more of a serious competition to me.
It did.
Like, it felt more condensed. Yeah,
okay.
I liked it. I really liked it just because there wasn't 5 hours between each event. That's which is nice. But
that's part where Tim's like, I can't be doing these shows no more. They're like that. He's like, I'm like, well, thank God we're doing better shows now. We have to be.
But no, it was nice. It was like all the guys I'm going against are right there. We all, like someone starts warming up. You're like, oh, okay, like maybe I can pay attention now, see what timing is, and like, you can keep an eye on everybody, and like it's like more of a serious.
The finals
day was real serious. Like everybody was right. Basically, we all shared like 3 tables, so we were all right in each other's face, but everybody's dead quiet, super serious. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, it was cool. I liked it.
It's nice to see the logistics getting tightened up.
I
so much as Strongman through all organizations have been such a shit show, and it feels like they're doing such a better job of tightening it up and worrying about. So that was nice. I don't think I've ever been to a show where these are your events. You're going to be in and out in like an hour and a half. Yeah. It was crazy, and they had it to the T.
Loved it. And usually I really like the crowd. Like I didn't notice the crowd. Like there was for ours there was plenty of people, but like. My wife and like the people that were supporting me are very loud. There's some screechers.
Oh yeah.
So like all I hear is them anyway. So like it doesn't really matter how big a crowd it is.
But they shoved you guys in like what was it, like 5 or 6 p.m. I felt bad for you guys because I'm like, okay, the opens are the main show. Why did they get the worst spot?
It was a perfect spot because I could feed all day.
That's true.
I woke up, ate breakfast, went back, took a nap, woke up, ate again, fed for the show. After already having 2 or 3 meals, it was worse. No, it was fantastic.
No, the Shaw 2023 when we did 2 events and then we did the Stones in the afternoon and then we came back in the morning. That was the worst. Like because I got the year before I didn't finish a Stone run, and then so 2023 I finished a Stone run the year I won, and I got so hyped because I won. I didn't fall asleep till 2:00 in the morning. And then I had to be up at 7 to eat so we can be at the arena at 9 to start doing it again.
Yeah, that's hard to come down with that.
But that time slot is also good for us too because that's when we normally train. So like my brain is already wired to be like go heavy in the afternoon, So like waking up super early for these shows is actually less normal for me. I don't feel as good.
Yeah, let's hope you don't get Group 1 at Worlds, man.
Why'd you say that? Now it's gonna fucking happen.
They guys run you through an order like that, like Group 1's early, and then
you get a group. Why'd you say that? That was. Oh, you know what's?
Why'd you say that? Oh, fucking asshole.
You're like those first 2 days at Worlds, you're doing BD and everything, and Like, I don't want to know what group I'm in. Like, I'm one of those, I hate bracket watchers. Like, I know that from wrestling. Like, guys will be like, oh, like, okay, if I went here, I'm going to go against. That's so stupid. Like, wrestle your match, get to the next one. You never know what's going to happen, right? And so they're like, you want to know your group? You want to know? I'm like, don't tell me my group. I don't want to know. And then sure, yeah, it's like Mitch Hooper. Like, oh, I'm like, all right, well, stone off it is. Here we go. I kind of knew because Nick's like, do you want to know what group you're in? And I was like, nah, man. He's like, he did one of these things like. I
was like, are you sure you don't want to know?
I was like, I already knew if Cooper was in my group. Like, this is gonna be a battle.
So of course, I'm gonna get fucking Tom in my group this year because I'm the fucking newest guy and he's WSM, you know. So
is that the thing they try to say they don't seed the groups?
Oh, they do. Like, they do.
They seed. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they should. It needs to be like that.
I think I don't know if they seed based on like anything other than World Strongest Man titles. Like I think Tom will get number 1, Mitch will get number 2, Evan will get number 3, and so on. I don't think they seed the other guys.
They do.
I think really.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's depending, especially this year in terms of invites. Like if you look at the invites on who's actually got invited so far, it is definitely on how well they did at Giants in this last year. So even more so if they're on that trend like they were last year, it's going to be.
So you think they got a high seed too?
I mean, just look at Hooper's group. There was the most rookies in Hooper's group, and he was the previous World's Strongest Man winner because there was Otoof, me, Canby, Remick, and Belton. And but there was 3. There was no other group that had 3 rookies in there.
It almost makes me wonder if they're ever going to get rid of the heat system because when Colin Bryce threw out on Instagram, like, what are things you'd like to see? And everybody unanimously said, get rid of the fucking stone off. But then there were a bunch of people in there that were taking issue with the heat system just because, I mean, every point system's flawed. Every bracket system's flawed. But it is like such a unique thing because it was it's rooted in the show.
Yeah.
And it's not really a show anymore. I don't know how much people treat it as a show. Everybody's watching it online. They're watching clips. Every other show live streams. I wonder if they'll ever ditch that to make sure that it's a more tight. You like the heat system?
I love it for that reason that's that show. Like that's
the flavor.
That's that flavor of that show, and I love Strongest Man on Earth because it's 16 and it's everyone like the point swings in Strongest Man on Earth is nuts. Like, come on, man! Like I zeroed an event, and I still took 5th. Like that's what I love that too. But I also love that you have to make it out of a heat, and you have to, you know what I mean, and you can make it to the finals. Like you got to throw down again with even better dudes. Like I love that part of it, and we'll find out how I like Arnold's, but I feel it's gonna be the same as Smo. But you know, I hope they don't get rid of it. I think it's cool. And then, you know, it's a strongman show, and then if you make it out, it's an even harder strongman show. Fatigued.
Your reward for being great is to get another show.
There we go. 6 more events.
Get your ass fucking beat again.
That I'm so glad they got rid of that day in between because it was almost like a man, because you did 2 days, and you know, and I'm my rookie year, so I'm not like everyone else. I'm like, hey, what's take it easy on these couple events, or you know how they're all like, oh, I only need to go this. I wasn't
100% every.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm lucky to be here. I'm gonna go 100% no matter what, right? So after those 2 days, that day you get a little bit of like a rest, but it's almost a tease. It's like, damn, I got to get back up for this tomorrow. Like this, and then we're now it's Tom. Now it's Tom Mitch.
That's a fair point.
You know what I mean? That's
I don't know. We'll see how it goes this year.
No, it's gonna be fun, but
I think you're gonna surprise yourself because especially with the Nathan Payton changes and stuff, like your longevity for that week is gonna be.
Oh, I'm excited. No,
so much better.
Like I said, I've never felt more. I feel good. It's crazy. Usually at this time of prep, I'm like, oh, God damn, how am I going to make it now?
I feel like shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel great. And I just feel like I got hit by a truck just seeing this fatigue. But other than that, like.
Everything hurts on me. Every joint is like.
Well, you're on your way down. Your body was used to being heavy, and now it's like, oh, okay, I can breathe. Your body's like, what the fuck are you doing to me right now? Yeah. So given the work you're doing with like Peyton and stuff, do you have like deliberate goals that you're trying to hit, or like specific like body weight goals? Do you have like a weight that you're trying to get to, or do you have like an ideal?
Yeah, I'm just eating. Like whenever you onboard with him, he kind of asks you what your goals are. I just said that I would like to get as strong as possible, so that's kind of what the goal is.
That's the goal is, and mine was healthy. I was not healthy last year, and like and then like being in that and like, damn, like doing another 5-10 years of this, that's gonna be rough. Like I don't know. Yeah. So my whole goal was just to be healthy, and so I've gotten back to not pre-diabetic anymore. So that was a big check.
My goal, I told him, I was like, my end body weight goal is like 360, 380, but staying kind of lean, like composition I have now. So we've been eating for that goal. So like my protein numbers are for that body weight. My
weight goal is champion.
Champion,
yeah. Well, Arnold champion, world's strongest man.
You got champion here, you got healthy over here. I don't know.
Hey, at one point, something's going to give, and I think healthy's going to give.
Yeah, I think like one of the worst things I've seen in strongman is we were talking about the divisions, but they started going crazy with the masters divisions, and I'm like, God, you got because usually guys get around 40. Maybe some a little early, maybe some a little after, but then they start to phase out. They start to look towards other things. But now you got guys in like their 60s that are like finding a reason to stay in and stay big and stay competitive, where it's like, dude, you got like 15, 20 years left if you're lucky. Let's take up cycling. Let's go do some triathlons, do some jujitsu.
Find golf.
Yeah, let's take it easy on your heart.
Work on your slice.
It's rough, man. It's rough carrying the weight, but especially like the permabulk thing, because you guys are an exception across even the pro ranks, but especially the amateurs. You don't see people eating for performance. They use strongman as an excuse to fat fuck themselves, and it's unfortunate.
I love that term. That's a beautiful word.
That's the strongman motto is fat fuck yourself, or it has been for a very long time. But I'd like to see a change because
I was fat fucking myself for a while there.
I was just normal fucking myself.
I miss competing open, man. I mean, I never got to this level of girthiness, but it's like when I would go open, I mean, I get to like 280 on my little like wee frame.
You think I'm girthy?
Bro, there's so much girth in this room. It's not even. I feel uncomfortable.
Say that one more time.
I feel I'm like, hell yeah. It just dawned on me. There's nobody out here. I can't call for help. So
like, talk about how girthy I am one more time.
Here.
I like where this is going.
Watch the Texas Boy channel.
I think on that note, that's a good point. That's a good time too. So why do you let everybody know where you can find you guys? YouTube, Instagram, any other places you would like to direct them?
I'm on Instagram at Nick Guardione, all one word. My last name is kind of hard to spell, but I'm sure you'll put it in the description. Austin is Smash Andrade on Instagram.
Well, yeah, I'm Smash Andrade on Instagram.
And then we both have a YouTube channel, The Texas Boys.
The Texas Boys.
It's just goofy, us being us, goofy during training, having fun, trying to become world's strongest man, and having fun doing it. So you see the whole process, us from warming up, joking around to top sets.
To top sets, to joking around.
To joking around.
We started doing this thing called Ghost Adventures. I don't know how
it
happened.
So I saw the trailer for that, and I didn't know what it was.
You were like, what the hell is happening?
I didn't know if I should bring it up or if I should let it go. Tell me about the Ghost Adventures.
How it happened? Well, we were in there, and like, we're in a dark container. It's like, ghost, and we just mess around, and then it turned into this thing where like every time we go out to the container to get like the jerk blocks or something, we're gonna go do like a.
You ever watch Ghost Adventures on like Discovery Channel?
Yeah, where they go out for like paranormal
stuff. Yeah.
So that's what it turned into, and
people love it. I don't know why. Crazy. Like the whole comment section is just Ghost Adventures is so good. What is it? So I'll whip out this Australian accent, and I'm talking about ghosts, right? And so the ghosts they come and get us in the container. Right, and it's like this Crocodile Dundee ghost adventure. Like it's just dumb. It's just dumb, and it's fun. But it's like
we're just coming up with stuff on the fly.
It's just us basically like.
But we're gonna do a spin-off of it, and we're actually gonna go to some of these haunted places and. So I can see what happens.
Like standalone ghost adventures.
Dude, we're gonna see what happens. Well, I mean, what's better than seeing two big ass dudes getting scared?
Scream like Thad Castle from Blue Mountain State.
Well, anyways, that's Ghost Adventures.
That's pretty good. I like it. Tune into Ghost Adventures, the Texas Boys. This could age very well or very poorly, and I'm excited to see how that goes. I would like to thank Austin Andrade, Nick Guardione for sitting down with us today. Check out their YouTube. Check out them on Instagram, and check them out at the Arnold Strongman Classic 2025. We're like 12 days away. I don't even want to think about it.
2 weeks,
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Till next time. This is Bromley. I'll see you
later.